Wait, one moment. Hold on. Hello, everybody, and welcome. Apologies for that brief blip while I changed my audio settings. I'm Aurora. This is May 24th, 2023, and I'm so excited. It is definitely a celebratory day. It is the last day of class. After this, you can throw your books and pencils out the window and run outside and have summertime. I'm joking, because it's not that type of a class, and I'm so appreciative of everyone. You are all the most wonderful students, and I love this class, and I find it to be super uplifting, and I know that you guys do too. So yeah, it is the end of this semester that I began last year around September, October. But I just turn around and start everything over again. So although this is the culmination of this teaching cycle, take a 1-week break and then return again June 7th, which is Wednesday. We're keeping it like webinar Wednesdays. Lessons for Full Spectrum Humans will resume again on June 7th. I'm just gonna mute you guys for the sake of the audio recording. There we go. Just no problem, although I appreciate anybody who wants to speak or share during class. Oh, now I lost my picture. Hold on a second. Back. June 7th, still keeping it at 2 p.m. Pacific time. So people who are already enrolled in this class, you do not have to re-enroll. I've already got you on my email list, and I consider you to be part of the Flying Rainbow Lasagna family. You don't have to pay any additional fees or tuitions or anything like that. And anybody who's new, who hasn't been on board, people might be catching some of my YouTubes and videos, maybe not necessarily in order, but participating in that way. I love and appreciate you. I'm so pleased for you to be here in whatever level of capacity you've been here, and you're welcome to formally enroll. So I will make certain that the link to enroll, I have a form, an online form, is going to be in the description of this video. And one of the other things, as I was preparing for class, like I have lots of notes, and there, this is just basic housekeeping at the moment. You might have seen that I'm wearing my iBMAC crystal here, and some people have told me that they're also practitioners. They also use this. It's facing outward. I recognize that. So you might even see me during the actual class. I am actually using the EMF protection, and it's very powerful when I have it on my skin facing towards me, but I also sometimes work with it around my energy field. So that is why, and I've been intuitively guided to work with it in that way. So I recognize and appreciate anybody who contacted me and said, Aurora, your crystal is pointing outward. Yes, my crystal is pointing outward for this specific purpose. And yeah, I'm doing a 1-hour talk today in person at a local healing center in order to be able to tell more people about iBMAC. So that will be streamed, yes, through my Facebook page. If anybody who is not located in my physical location wants to know or connect and learn more about that. I'm just moving my lamp because you know what I recognize, like you might not be able to see my face because the background is so bright. Okay, getting going with the actual notes of this class. So this curriculum that I have here represents a trajectory. Like we start at the beginning in terms of like a parabola, like an arc, that we're going someplace with all of this. And today is the culmination of everything that we've been doing in this class for so long, beginning with the sense of what is your energetic anatomy? That's what I'm pointing at over my shoulder here. You could think of that as your light body. That would be using kind of like the current vernacular or unofficial languaging that people are developing to talk about this. I call it your time body, because your body of probabilities and possibilities. Oh, and also I always say, like, I jump up once per class, but you know what? I've been talking to my body a lot more, and my body is like, sitting for 3 hours straight is not good. So I'm going to actually be jumping up a lot more. So yeah, I'm warning you, in current and future semesters, I'm going to jump up even more. But the energy centers or chakras of your body, beginning with this basic concept, or foundation concept, I should say, because it is not basic in any way. It's actually incredibly complex. And you could spend a whole lifetime just focusing in on what is this shape? What does it represent? What is the significance of it? Because it not only surrounds your individuality, or is a part of your individuality structure, it is a fractal microcosm of the larger structure of time itself, the cosmos, the universe, a black hole, a sun star, your planet, and who you are. And then even down to the much smaller scale of unicellular life and atomic life. Everything is represented by this shape. And that's part of the amazing profundity of what we learn by focusing on this. And anything that you're learning about, if you're learning about the energy patterns that flow through here, or the meaning or the significance of the layers, the rainbow colored layers, or what they are doing in terms of their movement through time, if you learn that on the scale as it applies to you, and then you apply it to, let's say, the sun or the planet or the entire galaxy, it is a similar level of relevancy. So you can use this shape as a type of an analogy tool. Like if this is to this at this scale, then this is to this at this scale. And amazing, amazing insights can happen. So this class, beginning with the foundation concepts of what is this shape? What does it represent in terms of your life trajectory? And then moving into the mechanics of flying rainbow lasagna, how to turn your toroidal energy field into a higher dimensional energy field. Where's my lasagna shape? Jumping up again. It's back here somewhere on the ground, somewhere. Right next to me, literally right next to me. Taurus into hyper-Taurus. So the mechanics of how to oscillate into a higher dimension. And that, again, this is the preparation of through your intellect for the actual experience of your body going into a higher dimensional state. And all of this in order to re-achieve light speed. We culminated with lesson 18, the dreaded or much vaunted lesson 18, dun, 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 that is really about the backstory of why we are doing this consciousness high jump. Like, why are you having to leverage yourself into a higher dimensional state? Why is it necessary to kind of regain or reclaim your dormant psychic capacities and higher faculties? And the flying rainbow lasagna as a bridge, that what this is, the amazingness of flying rainbow lasagna is that it acts as a bridge to be able to make it possible for you to supersede the genetic blockades that were placed between yourself as an embodied individual in a physical body and the levels of pure divine abstraction that is the mind of God. And you were actually never meant to be separated from that truthful layer of reality while coming into embodiment. That is an artificial paradigm. So God exists, these patterns exist, that layer of total intelligence exists. Humanity was cut off from it. And I point up here as if it is to the crown chakra, like, a cloud between you and the sun. But it is really at the level of DNA, because inside of every single one of your cells, you've got the nucleus. And inside of every single nucleus, you've got your DNA. That is really your crown. That is really the portal through which you connect to light, pure energy, and the larger overarching continuum, the continuum of totality consciousness. And the blockades that were put into humanity were genetic diminishments that made it so that you could not effectively connect to divine intelligence and not only receive direct sustenance, like, in place of food and water, the direct sustenance that would come from that level of intelligence, but also the guidance and wisdom and even companionship of feeling still connected to the divine, even while you are here in individuated embodiment. So the flying rainbow lasagna is this tool to be able to rearrange your DNA and also reshape the fabric of reality, which is time, space, and consciousness, like a literal woven fabric, that your life is a thread within this much, much larger woven fabric. So that then, instead of there's a blockage here, like I'm here, there's a blockage here, and here's divine intelligence, being able to fold that fabric of time, space, and reality to connect with that, which we could also call it the source, and the sun as being the nearest broadcaster of emanations from the source, the truthful reality story that comes to us through the sun is a story that comes directly from the source, but it comes also through the giant galactic, supermassive black hole at the galactic center. And that is like the conductor. When I talk about like tap, 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 the conductor will say, now you play, now you play, now you play. So our galaxy is like an orchestra, And there is a central presence that is supermassive, that is orchestrating the entirety of all life in this galaxy, which is quite extraordinary. It begins to become on a scale that is larger than what most humans can comprehend, like a number that's so large you can barely even conceive of it, much less calculate it. But just know that that is what you are embedded within, that is what you exist within, and that that black hole, that conductor orchestrating everything in this galaxy, there are multiple conductors, there are multiple galaxies, and that that information also derives from a level of divine consciousness and perfect intelligence that, again, is on such a grand scale that it is almost inconceivable from the viewpoint of those who are embodied at this level. It would be like, like a tiny little mitochondria inside of your body trying to know or comprehend what is this animal that I'm inside of. Like the mitochondria knows its own cell, its own neighborhood, its own activities, and might not be able to even know or comprehend, like, who or what is this person? What am I doing inside of there? Your mitochondria like just does mitochondria stuff. So you are a smaller presence within this much, much larger, very alive being. So the orchestrator, the conductor, at the center of our galaxy is analogous to a nucleus of a cell, and your galaxy is like one cell of a much, much larger living, alive organism. Why am I bringing all this up? This is all profound truth. What is the relevance? Why am I bringing this all up? As I drink some of my wonderful structured water here. I have my notes, and a lot of my notes refer to what I recorded in 2013, 2014, and where we were in our journey as individuals and a collective in the ascension or the reconnection to God process. And then now it is almost 10 years later on a lot of these teachings. And my notes, I also put in interjections from last year when I compiled these notes into a PDF form. And I hope that everyone will catch it. I always put it in the YouTube link, and it is offered in freedom. It's offered in freedom as a gift to you. And I always put it up on Patreon too. And if anybody ever wants to reflect energy back to me, of course, I receive in gratitude on all of that. I put it out there because I feel like those notes are incredibly important. And also like warning, my notes are not grammatical, and they are totally whatever. There exists still some spelling mistakes and non-correct language, because initially they were just notes for me to remember what I'm going to talk about during class. So they are not written in full sentences. They are full of sentence fragments, and people who are into grammar will be shaking their finger if they read through there. But the energy is out there very purposefully, very intentionally, because I felt that it's important to have people be able to read the notes and receive the energy through those neural pathways. And also not everybody has the time to watch entire video presentation. So it is a way of being able to absorb kind of faster, like let's say in 15 or 20 minutes, what I would ordinarily present over the course of several hours. And then also, like, if you do it right, you read your notes before you come to class, and then you are prepared for all the things that I'm going to be talking about, because I'll always speak extemporaneously as well. Because where are we in our journey now? It's not the same place that we were when I presented this information last year and when I put together these notes last year. So we are always evolving on our trajectory, and the things that I share in class are always evolving. So this level 1, lesson 20 is the culmination of the semester. It's called The Future and Beyond. And this has to do with everything that is happening on our planet. And it's been a cosmic moment. It's been happening on our planet for like the past decade. So just, adjust your expectations. Like if you think a moment is going to be like 1 minute on your clock of your watch of human time scale, it's not. A cosmic moment can be a decade. It can be what amounts to an entire human lifespan. So please be aware of that, and definitely plant your seeds of practicality for the future. Like plant your fruit trees and things that, like, it'll take a few years for them to actually bear fruit, because this whole process takes time. And it's also something that is unhurried. It can't be rushed or forced in any way. In its trueness of what it is a natural unfoldment. And I think of it as kind of like this gushing floral kind of curly Q type of thing that like gushes forward and gushes forward. And that is what time is like. And that is what this unfoldment and development is like in our planetary world. So it's not like a train that runs on a particular schedule. It doesn't conform to human expectations or desires, although it impacts your life a lot. And while this larger shift in paradigm is going on, you definitely have to do your regular, not regular stuff, but perform the activities that sustain your life. Everything from, like scrubbing out your toilet to, buying your groceries at the store, to doing something like a long-term plan, planting a fruit tree, or even having children. People have wondered, like, is it even a good time in the world to conceive of a child? Is it a safe time? Is it a good time? And yes, of course, it is a good time for that, because there will be a future. That's what I'm trying to say. And the future is unfolding, and it is evolving in response to the present moment now of what we are experiencing. So all of this stuff that I teach to you, and reconnection through Flying Rainbow Lasagna to your higher faculties, non-denominational Christ consciousness, chakra over here, crown and connection to the divine source of consciousness that emanated you here, all of that is a prerequisite or foundation for the upcoming experience that you will have of reconnection to galactic society, which is reconnection to your galactic self and your heritage. And that there have been so many different psyops and cons, like, false stories. I made a very distasteful face there, like, ugh. Yucky stories that have been told to humanity about who and what are extraterrestrials, who and what is extraterrestrial life. And I've had to make a huge distinction in this class between different types of extraterrestrials and extra-dimensionals, and some of the ones who have influenced humanity over millennia and in recent past. So some of the ones that influenced humanity over millennia were not your friends. They were not good guys. They did stuff that took you from a very exalted state and crashed you down to the point where you have to eat food with your mouth crystals. And I joke about that in the recorded teaching. I'm like, yes, actually, your human body at any level was not really designed to take your mouth crystals and use them in order to crush stuff up. Like if you have these beautiful, like finely tuned crystals that have these, amazing edges, like you're not actually supposed to use them to like mash potatoes up and things like that with them. That is not actually what these crystals were made for. But many aspects of our anatomy have been repurposed and changed and made to work and function differently in this diminished level of reality. So your teeth are actually your mouth crystals, and they're actually meant to be connected to your brain. There's a whole network of nerves that goes up to your brain and through your eyes, that your teeth and your eyesight are very, very much connected, and they're very connected to your pineal gland, and your pineal gland is full of tiny crystals too. And the etymology of Christ, crystalline, Christos, and consciousness, these things are all connected and related, and that absolutely has to do with your pineal gland, which is full of tiny crystals. So all of this is about reconnecting to that larger, magnificent scale of consciousness that you actually emanate from. And I talked about that in the past two classes, that it might appear as if you are like on a roller coaster, white knuckles, like I'm getting closer to something, I'm going up, I'm getting closer to something, I'm going up. And then you think that you're connecting to this something that is other than you. And that's why there's this trepidation, this fear, this concern. And then when you actually get there and make the connection, you find out that's actually me. It's actually yourself. It is actually your self state. But it also means that part of your journey of awareness and cultivating your awareness and transcending previous levels of limited awareness has to do with comprehending time in a new way. So much of my work throughout this class of multiple semesters of, almost a decade has been about helping humanity to experience and conceive of and visualize and diagram time in a new way. So the clank metal spaceship type of civilizations, not civilizations, uncivilized users of technology, they might be more easily comprehensible in terms of, like, you're used to a car or a ship that sails on the ocean. And then you could imagine a ship that sails through the stars. And it is, similar, like an outer skin that contains people on the inside and, life support systems on the inside. But that is a very, very different way of traveling. That is actually not the intended or ideal way for consciousness to travel the stars. And that those are not very mature or not very highly developed levels of whatever, or creatures or organized life, if they are using technology of that sort in order to be able to go beyond the limitations of their planet or their world in order to interact with other worlds. That what the idea is, you're supposed to develop yourself and cultivate yourself to the point where you do not require technology to be able to communicate with others that are far distant in either time or space. You don't need technology in order to fly in a metal spaceship to transport yourself. And you also begin to identify with all of this other life as self. So what am I talking about? Blah, blah, blah. I'm just trying to say in so many words that there is a cosmic dance party, and you're absolutely invited. You're not only invited, you're celebrated. They're like, we want you. It's your debutante ball. It's your coming out party, your cosmic dance party. They definitely want you there. So please don't feel like there's some condescending, truly advanced, non-technology using higher society that's like, oh, not those humans. Like, they're not good enough to come to our party. It's not like that at all. That the sun and the stars are representatives of that highest level of pure light, coherent light world and pure consciousness. Love you dearly, are deeply devoted to you, are deeply committed to you and to your elevation, and to you re-achieving light speed or your light body. That's what these paintings are. They're your light body. And you actually have that around you, but that there have been perturbations in the field that have been making it so that you either don't connect with it effectively, or energy or light is being siphoned off of it, bringing it down to slower levels. I need to drink a lot, hold on. Slowing it down and distorting it slightly into these denser emotions and denser distorted emotion states. I talk about like the washing machine that is imbalanced, that has stuff that's in there that's making the inner cylinder kind of gyrate wildly out of control. That has been humanity in the diminished state. So you are invited and desired to be at the cosmic dance party. It's not your fault, your innocence, that something else perturbed you and made you unable to be there effectively. In order to get there and fly on wings of pure consciousness using your light body, it takes an enormous amount of self-development. It is an attainment, much, much, much more difficult and complex than, again, just simply constructing a metal skin and, artificial life support system, putting your food in a toothpaste tube. Sorry, Cheeky might have to go to the other room. Cheeky, are you okay? Is everything okay? Okay, Cheeky's okay. Matt, Cheeky's got a lot to say, guys. Self-cultivation is required on every level of your body, from your physical body through all of your subtle layers of body, to be able to fit through the frequency door. Like when you have a key that fits in a lock, you have the lock with the tumblers over here, then you have the key, and the key has to be shaped in exactly the right way so that when it goes in there, it goes, it unlocks and you're able to go through the door. For you to go through the frequency door and reach these levels of attainment in terms of reconnecting your consciousness to divine consciousness and interacting with otherworldly stellar consciousnesses and star systems themselves and star organizations, you have to reshape yourself like a key that goes in a lock. So that is where we get to practices like water structuring. You have a lot of water inside of your body and your cellular presence, both extracellular and intracellular, and water that's just passing through, like through the digestive tract and excretory organs. And you're also in a sea of water, which is your atmosphere. And also you drink water and sometimes swim in water too. Structuring your water helps to begin the restructuring process of your entire cellular body into a crystalline, translucent structure. The difference, and so this is throwback to one of the teachings that I did about your diamond body and what it is, also AKA your Vajrayana body from the Tibetan practices of Asia, a crystalline light form that is taking the same basic elements of what you have, like carbon, which is smushed together into random patterns, making smeary, dark coal, or carbon can be put into more organized situations, which is how you make it a crystalline structure. Crystals have all of the atoms standing at attention, my back went up, in nice, perfect alignment. They're like in a matrix, not an evil matrix, not like the matrix from Keanu Reeves, where you're going to get, in a false world, a positive matrix, a positive, very regular, organized pattern, like the pattern that I paint up there, where the very same puzzle pieces get rearranged and then become something that is unbreakable, indestructible, and translucent, meaning it transmits light. Light flows through it. These crystals are translucent. Light flows through them. That is what you end up becoming when you cultivate your light body, your time body. Light flows through you without perturbations and without impediment, and you become the right shape to be able to go through the frequency door and join the cosmic dance party. That's your future. That's all the good stuff. And I'm telling you also, the attainment will be worth it. I will also I want to say worth it, all of the crapola that has been going on this planet, especially the intensity over the past 3 years. So it's actually a bit poignant when I read these notes from 2014 and I talk about things with the expectation of me back then, that it is an asymptotic curve going up, getting faster and accelerating faster and faster and faster with no diminishments, only goes up, doesn't go down. And instead, what we have experienced is, like, let's say strongly from 2001, but then also from 2012 onward, definitely consciousness accelerating, getting faster, 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 faster. Then you get to kind of like 2019, 2020, then you have a plummet. You have a plummet, you have a diminishment. And that's been everything that's been happening over the past 3 years. That has been a huge struggle. That is actually not part of the asymptotic curve. It's not intended. It's not necessary for your growth. It's something that is as aberrant as the invention of death or experience of death. That has been, as you are generating energy and getting more light, something took light away, something slowed you down. And that is because of these interlopers, things that have been trying to be here, not only taking over the planet, but that they kind of waited until the peak moment to, like if you're gonna harvest a fruit or something like that, like you wait until it's as full of energy as possible. And they waited until the potential of the energy here and the light and the consciousness journey here was almost at its peak, which was 2019, 2020, and then decided to try to come in and harvest or siphon all of that energy off. And that has been the transhumanist technological agenda and a perpetration that is against your DNA. This is even worse than like lesson 18, because, and that's what it is. That's what reverberative trauma is. It's like, I thought this is me rocking back and forth. Like, I thought it was done. I thought it was over. Now the thing is back. The thing is back. But don't worry, because you transcend it, and you transcend it for good, and you get through this, and you will. And I really, really, that is a big message of affirmation, confirmation, and reassurance that I bring to you today. That you were reaching to very, very great heights. And in the moment before really making that reconnection and coming forward, that then there was a crashing downward, and that's actually not intended to be part of your ascension journey. That was not necessary or didactic or part of, quote unquote, the plan, part of God's plan or anything like that. It's a subversion of God's plan. And you can understand why that would happen if something was adversarial to you and did not want you as a true human, like a multi-spectrum human, to be able to achieve your greatness. They'd be like, okay, like imagine like if you get to $100 in your bank account, that's like this critical moment, like ding, 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 like you have $100 and you have enough to be able to buy something that's important. And they're like, okay, fine. Like you can work hard, you can save your money. I'm watching your savings account, and you're getting up to like $89. Then you're up to like $93. Then you're up to like $99.95, and you're 5 cents away from that critical $100 of energy that you need to be able to make that purchase of whatever you've been dreaming about. And that is when a hacker is going to drain your bank account. All right. They're not going to do it only at like $75. They're going to wait until you're at $99.95 is what I meant to say if I said the wrong number. All the way almost at the top of your goal. And that is pretty much what our planet experienced. So some poignancy in my reading of the notes from 2014 and recognizing how I remember my expectation of like, oh yeah, like we're just going to keep on getting faster, accelerating, getting closer and closer and closer to light speed. And then we've got enough in our savings account to buy that very important thing that we want, which is called spiritual attainment, which is really that moment of divine reconnection where you have access to everything, where you have access to all knowledge, all wisdom, all energy, all light. The cosmic dance party means that you reconnect to all light and all consciousness everywhere, and that you are no longer in that level of separation, even while you still experience individuation. So this class that I'm teaching right now is all about the ideal state of what happens when we transcend any of these difficulties that have been placed here in this world and are able to make that final reconnection and, in a sense, complete the circuit, complete the biofeedback circuit with the source that has emanated us and that we actually return to, but it is not death. Big. It is not death to reconnect to the source. We came from the source and we live here in life. And then many people think like, oh, like you go back home by dying. But I've talked about it in terms of the diagram here of your time body, that if you hit the membrane of death, that's not going back home. That's not your home. You do not live on the membrane of death. You actually live at that central core timeline. So if you have miscalculated and find yourself on the membrane of death, then you're like, my mistake. Let me go back to the beginning and try it all again. And that our lives, multiple and concurrent lives, and the life of our planet has been 100% about that exploratory journey of figuring out what are the right series of behaviors, belief structures, life events, and willpower directed activities that bring us to the source, the central core timeline. But that is not synonymous with death or an end to our life or an end to our existence. It is a reconnection to the divine and then continuation eternally. So it is not ending at all. So I want to make that very, very clear in a wonderful way, that the things that we are culminating in terms of the time of disease and the time of death and time of separation from the divine, when you reconnect, it's not like dun, 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 the end and now nothingness. No, far from it. It is the end of that particular chapter, and then an incredible new vista, that a wonderful expanse opens out in front of you. That is the future from that moment. That's what you've been saving in your savings bank, your energetic savings bank, to be able to achieve. That's what happens when you get to light speed. That's what happens when you get on board the infinitely fast bullet train. That is the bullet train of infinity. And you never get off the infinitely fast bullet train of infinity. And key point, you are there along with many, many other aspects of self that might be perceived from your present footprint as otherworldly, either extraterrestrial or extra dimensional. How does this relate to time? If you were to send a signal from here to the sun through linear time space at the speed of light, it would take roughly 8 minutes. So there's time lag. Let's say you want to talk to, the sun is our nearest star. What if you wanted to talk to a star culture that was many, many light years away, like hundreds of light years away? There would be an even longer time lag. So let's say you call them up on the phone. This is my phone. I'm calling up some otherworldly place on the phone. I say, hey, how you doing? And if it's linear, the hey, how you doing signal is traveling for billions of light years. By the time it reaches the destination, their entire culture has changed and shifted. I might be dead. I might be still standing here holding my phone trying to talk to them. They perceive what I have sent out. And then if they send back a response to what I have said, like kind of like, who are you? Who's calling? What would you like to know about? That time that it takes then to bounce back here, not only might I be dead, the entire civilization here might be dead, if it were necessary to do this form of communication through linear communication. So I talk in my notes about how Einstein is very a loved and respected person here in this world because he gave humans a level up um, that made it possible for humans to know more and do more. But also there was an inherent limitation in the level up, like a ceiling that you're not going to be able to get past, which is the presumption that nothing can go faster than the speed of light. So if you are reliant upon speed of light communication, you will not be able to have an effective phone call to the other civilizations that are throughout your own galaxy and throughout other galaxies. Everything becomes irrelevant by the time you actually send and receive these signals. They become no longer relevant. So in the signaling throughout our galaxy, signals already move faster than light. And how do they do that? I should draw, because that's why I was like, should I charge up my trackpad? Will I be drawing in this? It's not a very drawing heavy teaching, but I will do this for you because I think it makes it a lot easier to see it than to just describe it. Okay, I gotta find a color. There's buttons. I have to press buttons. Hold on a second. I have to press buttons. I'm pressing a button. There we go. So this is the black hole. That is a supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy. And then here are like the arms of our galaxy. We live in a spiral galaxy. And each one of these, you can tell my pen doesn't always work. Each one of these lines represents billions and billions of stars, okay? Now let's make a little blue dot. Like, this is Earth over here. I'm going to exaggerate this blue dot. Object not drawn to scale, right? This is Earth over here. And then, this is really hard to draw today. I don't know why my pen is so challenging, all right? And then let's draw, oh, wait, go back. Yeah. And then let me draw, here's the sun, all right? Oh, that was actually a pretty good sun. So if it was only through the speed of light, then by the time a thought emanates from this massive black hole, the black hole is not nothingness. It is singularity, and it is total intelligence presence and infinity and infinite light speed, and it is the infinite bullet train. That's what the black hole is, because everyone thinks of it as like, it's black, it's dark. It's not dark. It's actually totally light inside. There's tons of stuff in there, but you see it as blackness, but there's intelligence in there. And if it was necessary to wait for this big signal to come all the way like this and then reach the sun, that would be a very, very long journey that would take a long amount of time. That would be irrelevant. And it would be like if you were trying to send a signal from your brain to your big toe and it took 10 years. Like, you don't need a 10-year long time lag to be able to move your appendages and your extremities. You need to be able to do it fast. So that our cosmos is already nonlinear, because the supermassive black hole does not actually move all of that thought structure across the vast reaches of time-space. It hears the signal here, and it goes through a higher dimensional reality, and then ends up here. Boom. I don't know if you can see that because it's such a light color on your screen. Let me choose a different color. Here, I'm using green. Signal is here, and then it goes through a higher dimensional reality. Boom, comes out here to our sun. And then our sun sends that signal to us on Earth, and it takes 8 minutes for it to get here. If we didn't do things like this, then things would be, it would not be a livable, it would be impractical. This is a practicality that must happen in order to deal with the vast expanse of time space that is here. So what you've got here, what I'm drawing here, is kind of like a ruffle, a behind the scenes ruffle of time space and consciousness continuum. Point A and point B are actually folded together so that there is no space between these two places. There is no space between these two places. And that is very similar to what flying rainbow lasagna is, a bending and folding of the fabric of space-time that is non-arbitrary to be able to, how do I get back to my face? I have to press a button. What do I do, guys? Okay, there we go. Non-arbitrary. When you were, oh, I can see your questions, yes, because now I can see your chat. When you do this flying rainbow lasagna maneuver, it is not a random folding of the fabric of time, space, and consciousness. My lovely assistant will now pull this rainbow scarf out of her nose, and I will show you what I'm talking about. This is randomness. Just bunch it all up, bunch it all up and make a bunch of wrinkles and squash it into a ball. That is not what our cosmos is doing. Our cosmos is saying, if this is the sun in your sky all the way over here, and then this is the supermassive black hole at the center of the galaxy, and you have to find some way to have a nonlinear space between these two things, it is a very focused and very precise folding together of those two far distant places. They are distant in time and they are distant in space. So they're distant in space that I think you can comprehend and wrap your head around. Like if I took a big, long, giant ruler, you'd be like, it's 10 million, million, billion inches longer, or cubits, or miles, or kilometers. It's a very long amount of space. And then time being the amount of time that would flow if you were moving at the speed of light across that whole long space, but you're not moving at the speed of light. Everything about what I'm trying to teach you here so you can level up and join the cosmic dance party is transcending that inborn limitation that is from Einstein and his worldview of the limitation of the speed of light. He's not wrong, but he had a limited slice of reality pie that he gave to humanity, and everyone is like, we like this slice of reality pie because it let them, again, do more things and do more stuff, but it also held them back from being able to conceive of the possibility of going faster than light. And the reason for that is in Einstein's calculations that you would have to, in order to accelerate something to light speed, you'd have to have an infinite amount of energy to accelerate something that's not at light speed to get to light speed. And so then everyone was like, that can't possibly happen, blah, blah, blah. And a lot of rational analysis then ensues. So it is moving beyond that. That is a particular level of human development. And it is necessary to move beyond that level of expectation, perception, and human development in order to join the cosmic dance party. You could go into a sense of like persecutionism, where you're like, somebody made us think that there's a limit to the speed of light. Somebody made us be and feel diminished. And there is some of that. And we're speaking through layers of trauma here, that you've had that happen to you as a human collective many, many times, where something is like, no ascension for you. Like, you can have partial transformation or partial uplift or a little bit of the strudel recipe, but not the entire strudel recipe of total empowerment, of being at infinity speed and being able to literally be capacitated to do anything. Wait, let me drink and then let me get to comments. Because too many times in class, I roll past and then the comments are no longer relevant. So Charlie B, thank you for being here, because I know you always have your own particular jam-packed work schedule, and I thank you for being here in class. Says a cosmic moment really seems to last a long time here, and is kind of winking with the emojis. Yes, that is absolutely truthful. But that's important, because some people think like, oh, like we're ascending, like don't bother to do your important paperwork, pay your parking bills, scrub your toilet or anything like that, like we're ascending. And I'm like, yes, we're ascending, and also you're gonna have to take care of your parking tickets, and I joke about that from my own life, and you're also gonna have to scrub your toilet, or a better thing to say is scrub out your bathtub. Do you know why? Because like you're gonna want to have to take a nice little bath, and you're going to want to do it in a nice clean tub. That these are part of quality of life while you are in the ascension process. So instead of thinking about life like this is what most humans think. Life is a bore, life is a chore, I hate doing all these things. Ascension, get me out of here. Remember my joke, Calgon, take me away. And because ascension is not escapism, but it is quality of life improvement. So instead of being like, wow, like everything is so crappy right now, my shoulders go down, I can't wait until things get better, you have to be like, this process of things getting better is an improvement in quality of life, and focus on good quality of life. So what are the things that give you joy and give you good quality of life? Do those things while you are in the process of ascending. Like, please brush your teeth. Don't be like, oh, I'm going to ascend tomorrow. Why brush and floss? I'm going to ascend tomorrow. So that you will be comfortable now and you won't have food stuck in your teeth like broccoli sprouts for the moment that you actually ascend. Do you get it? Because everybody thinks about it as like this amazing moment, and it is an amazing moment of like going hyperspace. But first of all, like, you will not want to scrub out your tub in that moment. And also, you will not want to have broccoli sprouts stuck in your teeth in that moment. And also, you will want to have everything like your laundry folded and, your garden watered. You will want to have your energy field comfortable, organized, and well arranged. And arranging your energy field and doing these profound healings are also part of the ascension process, because ascension literally means kind of like we're filling up. Here, we'll even use this glass as an example. It's like this: the glass, maybe the water was all the way down here. That's like humanity in the dark ages, the benighted times, very, very diminished, not a lot of energy, not a lot of consciousness. And then you've been filling up your energetic bank accounts. And then when you get all the way up to the top, that is kind of like that moment of ascension. And getting up to those levels of attainment, it can take as long as it takes. And it should be an enjoyable, let's say comfortable instead of enjoyable journey. And like if you're filling up your cup with water, you're like, why isn't the water level rising? Like, I keep on putting water in, like, why isn't it rising? And the answer might be because you've got vulnerabilities in your system or exploits. That something else is like yoink, 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 yoink. Like they keep on taking $5 out of your bank account. You're like, how come my amount isn't going up? And it's because someone keeps on taking out $5 out of your bank account. And that can be through unresolved trauma or perturbations of your life. You forgot to send a birthday card to someone, and it haunts you, absolutely haunts you. You're like, every time I start to feel good, that birthday card, I remember it. For me, parking tickets, they haunt me. No, actually, the parking tickets don't haunt me, but what they are is a lighthearted and mundane example that I'm totally not emotionally attached to. But I think almost everybody has something in their life that is like a big bad thing that happened that does haunt you. That every time you start to feel better, you're like, I'm feeling great, but that bad thing, that's the energy drain. So really, in order to get to these levels of faster than light speed attainment, it really is necessary to shore up your inner boundaries so that when energy comes into you, it doesn't just immediately dissipate into guilt, anger, remorse, shame, blame, or any of these non-productive levels of human response, human behavioral, emotional response. And this is because this is all just pure energy. You fix your body up at the body shop. There's dents in your body, like from a car accident. You get the body shop to fix up your dents in your car. You got to fix up your energy field of all of the things that got punched into or deformed or mushed together that could be considered major traumas or even minor traumas. If somebody once yelled at you or said something unkind, or again, you forgot that birthday card or something like that, it's a minor trauma. And the positive energy that you're feeling, like, I'm feeling so great, I'm ascending. Oh, that birthday card. Oh, that thing I forgot to do. Oh, that thing kind of brings you down. Those are the basics of the mechanics of energy ascension, but the yoinkage is very distressing. And then also, sometimes there's been someone else siphoning out of your garden hose before you even get the water. And that has been an issue that is a galactic issue. So some of the things that have been preventing humans from fully getting to light speed have been personal issues, but I also don't want you to take all of the burden upon your own shoulders, because some of the burden is systemic. It is environmental. It is in the world that you live, and there are diminishment signals in the world that you live that are like a substrate of lies, and then there are also larger diminishments that are happening at the level of stars themselves and of light themselves. So everything is a fractal microcosm. And if you have something that is siphoning energy off of you and your individual chakra system, that makes you swing, gyrate wildly out of control and become less your true divine self. But there's also stuff that's siphoning energy off of the sun and other stars. That's these technological systems that are wanting to get energy to be able to run their spaceships or their empires or whatever it is, not in a positive way. So this is very, very, very big. Basically, everything that we're working with is solar stellar energy. If you plug directly into the sun without proper self-cultivation and preparation for the attainment, you would be incinerated or vaporized. You would change state immediately because you would not be prepared for the fire hose of information that would come directly into you. What we are doing in our self-cultivation throughout this class and throughout life events And thank you for being in this class as part of your own self-cultivation practice. You clear out your energy centers so that when the fire hose of information comes through your chakras, instead of being incinerated through friction, you instead go faster. Like the bicycle wheels of your chakra system go faster. And that's because you have done these incredible levels of self-cultivation and self-remembrance and clearing out all the things that are your personal, individual responsibility to clear out. And then, of course, we definitely wish to clear out our entire planet. That is a level of collective responsibility. So it cannot be something where it's like just one guy's job. Like, okay, like I just do me, you do the entire planet, you mop up the entire planet. So actually, that is not in balance. So that is a totality, a clearing of the human collective of all of these different layers, not only emotional. So all of the out of balance sexual stuff that I talked about in unhealthy sexuality, that's a clearing of the human emotional centers and everything that is connected on that level. Also clearing out of human economy and money dynamics. That's a clearing out of the entire human collective. Intellectual, that's a clearing out of the human entire collective of what you would call human history. Like if I talk about Einstein's work, that is one chapter in the overall intellectual structure and attempt to analyze the world. That is called human culture, because it's not, you have a foundation. You come into this world, you get implanted with OS human, and then you learn everything that everyone else has ever learned as a human running OS human. So the clearing of the intellectual center is not merely about you clearing out your own mind. It is also about the human collective completely changing the impression of how they look at the world through the analytical mind. So there's big, big stuff. So what you do is you clear out the stuff that is essential and within your own realm of responsibility, within your own whatever you would call it, like your umbrella of responsibility. That includes you and your biological body and the ancestral lineage that you're connected to and your soul lineage, whom you have been throughout levels of time, space, and consciousness. And then also the collective must be cleared out by the collective. You take collective responsibility. And, you know, there are wonderful teachers, artists, visionaries, and people like that who help to clear out the collective. Like Einstein, I'm telling you, had some good stuff. Newton had some good stuff, but what you do is like you wear something that is appropriate for the season, and then when it's no longer appropriate, like you don't wear snow boots in July unless possibly you're in the southern hemisphere. If you're in the northern hemisphere, it's going to be very, very hot, and it's not the right outfit for you to wear for that season. So Newton was great for the 1600s. Einstein was great for the early 1900s. Now we have to have a completely new and more exalted collective viewpoint of what is possible in reality. And that's necessary because, again, you're part of a larger collective social sculpture art project that is known as Life on Planet Earth. And that this also isn't really just limited to human experience, that this is also involving all of the other plants and animals. Because if you just looked at it like, okay, like humans have a limited consciousness and they can only imagine combustion engines and using petroleum products for their industry, and then the petroleum products are like gonna poison the Gulf of Mexico, and then that affects the dolphins that live there and the starfish and all these other beautiful creatures that are in that world. And if a dolphin was like, you know, whatever, had a miscarriage or something because of the Deepwater Horizon oil spill that was there, and it's like it doesn't know about that, it doesn't know about human economy, it doesn't have a contextualization as to why that happens. Like, why did this tragedy happen? Because there's like a poison in the water. Why is there a poison in the water? Because humans put it there. Why did humans put it there? Because they had a limited viewpoint of how to get energy and how to move themselves around in the world and how to get their food and their basics of what they needed. Your limitations affect the world around you, and the rectification of your limitations also affects the world around you. So what you're doing in the ascension process is moving into levels of being able to create directly with your mind. You're moving beyond materialism, and Einstein and the quantum physicists gave humanity a little bit of a boost, like a little bit of a leg So many apologies, everyone. Zoom is being persnickety. So if that ever happens, don't panic. In the words of Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, don't panic. And I'm sure someone else might have been made the host. Let's see. Let's see who got made the host. I'm still the host. Okay, cool. Yeah, if that ever happens, don't panic. Don't jump out the window. Just stick around and I will hop back in. Sometimes Zoom does like, it kicks you offline and then does weird updates. Oh my goodness. Just take a breath. We're okay. We're all right, guys. We survived. Martine had to go to sleep because it's nighttime in Europe. So I'm very pleased that you were able to come even for a short amount of time. So thank you for being here. Let me go back to Pedro's comment that talks about Jupiter Ascending. It's a good movie. Pedro, thank you for being here also and throughout my class through many years and for your thoughts and your sharing and your insights. That harvesting until humans are ripe with energy reminds me of the movie Jupiter Ascending. There's a lot of very truthful disclosure and good stuff in that movie Jupiter Ascending. So it's worth it as kind of like, a Hollywood fun movie night with some popcorn and something like that. But here's my criticism. I am also a movie critic. I told you never go to the movies with Aurora because I'm always going to blow holes in it. And I'm saying there's plot holes and things that don't make sense, and that's not right, and that's not right. So the thing that I did not enjoy the most about that movie, and I will do spoiler alert. So the girl starts out, Jupiter, that she is a toilet scrubber as her job, and then finds out later that she's galactic royalty, goes on all of these adventures, is fought over as like this priceless treasure of the cosmos being fought over, wins at the end, achieves transcendence, and then joyfully goes back to her job scrubbing toilets, knowing that she's galactic royalty inside. I'm like, no, at the end of the movie, because I think that is a little bit of a Hollywood requirement. Like we don't want these humans to become too uppity. We want them to know they're galactic royalty. You're going to ascend, but then after you ascend, you're still going to go back to scrubbing your toilet job. And I'm like, no, I really don't think that that's what we would do. Nor do I believe in or advocate for spiritual elitism, which would be like, I'm ascended and you're not. So you will be the toilet scrubber and I will be the, whatever, psychic princess or something like that. No, I actually believe that when you achieve your psychic powers, you do something that is the equivalent of cosmic cleanup crew, but is not necessarily scrubbing with an actual physical toilet brush. And that everybody should be celebrated, including people that clean toilets and do physical work of producing food or, whatever, sweeping floors and things like that. But these are actually all elevated, positive things to do, but that's not how her job was looked at. So it was more like this kind of thing, like it was a message to everyone who is a starseed that is ascending, which is basically all of us. That's like, but just through you have different, people are different flavors, people are different places that they are affiliated with, you have different affiliations, flavor. I already said those two words. Sometimes I don't come up with exactly the words I'm looking for in the moment. But not everybody is exactly, there's nonconformity in the uniqueness of your journeys. So everybody technically here is a starseed, but not everybody identifies as that, because some people have become more identified as what would be considered a native earthling. And they're like, this is my planet, this is where I've been. And it's like, yes, and actually we all have been here for a long amount of time, but actually we all came from somewhere elsewhere. And then also we've all been influenced by somewhere elsewhere. So you are galactic royalty. You are incredible, unique presences. You have amazing dormant superpowers. And then, yes, you will remember and reactivate your dormant superpowers, but you will not go back to your mundane job that you had when you were in amnesia. You will clean things up in a completely new and different way. And I joke about that too. Like if you think about the sky poops or atmospheric particles and things that have been sprayed upon humanity for a long amount of time, from your present viewpoint, you might be like, my shoulders go down, like, it's too big. It's too big. There's too much pollution. It's too much stuff to have to clean up. I'm like, no. When you get your powers online, or I should say instead of online, because it's a computer word, when you awaken your dormant inner and higher capacities, your super capacities, you'll be able to clean out the sky that fast. You'll do it in the morning before you even make coffee. Like waking up in your ascension jammies, like, sky poop, clean it out. Okay, let's get my coffee now. And then you'll go on to the most amazing adventure of the day. So that is really things that might have been like a huge daunting task will be something very manageable, because this is also about getting to greater levels of maturity and empowerment. So, but yes, Jupiter ascending does have a lot of truthfulness in the sense of being on the verge of this amazing attainment and then having something wanting to swoop in and diminish it. But my other critique of Jupiter ascending was that it was just mommy issues in space. That I will just tell you this, all right? Humans and human art, music, movies, and literature tend to project human issues and problems onto the higher dimensional or otherworldly realm. That is not what's really going on there. So, like, Star Wars was daddy issues in space. Jupiter ascending was mommy issues in space. Like the guy that was the evil villain, like, had mommy issues. But in true space, things are going on that are really beyond the behavioral and emotional patterns of dysfunction that you are familiar with in terms of what is happening in the human realm. So there are other motivations. There are things that need to be healed. There are emotional disturbances, but it is not the garden variety mommy daddy issues that almost everyone is dealing with here in this world. So that's the script writers of that movie having a limited expectation of what life is like in space. So you've got those, particular, like, what is their primary trauma, or what are they like, or why do they do the stuff they do? And also everybody here and all these script writers are all expecting, like, fighting in space is like pew pew lasers, pew 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 pew, like those are linear. They're similar to projectile weapons, but just using lasers and pure light instead of like little tiny like pieces of matter. It's like projectile weapons, but with light instead of matter. But that is not how things are fought in space. So you actually are in a war. You're in a time war, and the weaponry that is happening, or what is happening, is emotional energy is being weaponized, and DNA is also not being weaponized, but DNA is like the battlefield. Because what do I tell you all the time? DNA is a bridge of light that connects the physicality realm to the realm of pure possibilities and probabilities. I also tell you all the time, the greatest superpower that you can have is not just huge physical strength, Hulk smash, or being able to shoot lasers out of your eyes, pew pew lasers. It is the capacity to control and manipulate time itself. Because if you can do that, you're like, a supervillain is going to attack me in 2 minutes. I will use my time manipulation capacity to, change and manipulate time so that something different happens. And that's really the action of a true master, like in martial arts, which I have not done myself, but which I have studied about. The great black belt masters avoid conflict. They're not like, I'm a black belt, let's fight it out. I'm stronger, I'm going to kick everybody's ass. The true levels of attainment of the black belt are, I see a conflict, I sense that it is about to arise, let me avoid this conflict. Let me diffuse it, avoid it. Or like the Aikido master, let me take the momentum of my enemy and simply smush them over there. And I, have minimal impact to my own body. That is the true master. So by the time you achieve your direct time manipulation capacitations, a la Flying Rainbow Lasagna, you will be like a black belt. And you will say, let us manipulate time and space and consciousness in order to reshape events so that we do not have to have physical conflicts, that we do not have to have pew pew weapons and things like that shooting at one another. It's a completely different way of looking at things, and that includes thought structures influencing behavior. So really the weapon is energy I don't even want to use the word weapon, because it brings, I'm like, I don't like to use the weapon of war, the words of war, in order to describe all of this. But the higher level capacitation is the utilization of both energy and thought forms in order to change and manipulate behaviors and outcomes in the time field, so that way you can avoid conflict, injury, and death. And that is everything that I'm doing here in my life. Be like, Aurora, being an artist and a musician is so impractical in a war. Like, shouldn't you have pew pew lasers or something like that? And I'm like, no, guys, it's actually the most effective thing that I can do in a time war, where the tools of conflict that are being used are idea forms, thought forms, because art and music are some of the ways that we transmit thought forms and ideations into other people's minds. And you think about that, like, sometimes people can write a book. That's one way to influence other people's minds. But music and art have a deep impact. Like Van Gogh's Starry Night, everyone knows that painting. Or like Edvard Munch and The Scream, everyone knows that painting. Made a deep impact on the human psyche. Or a song, like whatever. A lot of people know the work of the Beatles. These songs, this music has a deep impact, and it is woven through the cultural substrate and into people's minds. So art and music are actually very, very impactful, practical tools to effectively change the structure of time and the direction that events are going. We're talking about fighting for events. And in Jupiter Ascending, like, there was one particular person who was this very, very special, cosmic treasure. You all are very, very special cosmic treasures. I want you to know that. So Melissa, thank you for being here, says, it seems like ascension happens during and after the process of many, many improvements. Absolutely. Ascension is an unfoldment and a process, although it is also a moment of attainment. The moment of attainment, or going across that doorway threshold, just like, getting married. You have one day, you're engaged, that's moving upward towards that one special day, your wedding day. But then after your wedding day, it's not like, okay, the end, like we ate the wedding cake and now everything is over. That's like the beginning of your life together. So ascension is really the beginning of your life in moving into cosmic citizenship. You have a very, very special event after a long time of personal self-cultivation and moving towards that level of attainment. And then when you actually have that reconnection, you do not just poof out of existence. You then go forward together in this amazing expanded level of reality. And Pedro says, ascension jammies. He's laughing. Until now, I didn't know I needed them. You guys totally need them, and they must be rainbow. They must be rainbow, fuzzy ascension jammies. All right. And Pedro says, and they have to be friction free. Absolutely. You should have silky, nice sheets or something like that. Yeah, fantastic. Very, very good. I love the lightheartedness, literally lightheartedness. Okay, let me go back to my notes, because I don't have that much time today, because I'm doing a teaching at 6 p.m. which will be on Facebook, about Iva Crystal at a local healing center. So that is why I don't have as much time as latitude as I usually do. I overscheduled myself today. So extraterrestrials and extra dimensionals, as the overt contact with them as part of this ascension culmination. Because when you get up to light speed, what happens is, instead of having to have a very, very, very long signal that moves from point A to point B on your cosmic telephone, that makes it almost impossible due to time lag to have an effective conversation with other people, what you do is you have immediate conversations telepathically through faster than light communication. And that means that you begin to be able to speak with other aspects of yourself. Like, that's actually you over there. And I talked about that in non-duality and the Flying Rainbow Lasagna, that these other star consciousnesses or creatures and organizations are actually you. They are all you on the highest level of truth. Spoiler alert, it is all you. But this is not flawed New Age shadow work that erroneously claims the dark side and evil as projections of self. Consciousness is you. And where there is consciousness, if it is in the plant or mineral or animal kingdom of your world here, or if it is elsewhere on another planet or in a different dimension, it is you. but it's coming from a different direction. It has different levels of wisdom and accrued experience, and it is vectoring into a different direction to the eventual destination that you will all go to, which is infinity. So many multiple different paths of many multiple different aspects of you that all lead to infinity. You all come from infinity, you all go back to infinity, many multiple different paths, including the distinction of some aspects of self going to infinity and energy, some aspects of self going to infinity entropy, kaput, no energy. And that is important because when you interact where like the rubber meets the road with some of these interdimensional creatures, some of them you'll just be like, these are the guys that should be going to entropy. Yes, that's exactly right. Be like, those are the musicians in the band that you don't want to be listening to at all. So in your own genetics, you want to tune your instrument and your frequency perception away from them. And in your interactivity and expectations and dance partnership, definitely don't be dancing with those guys. They should be diminishing and dancing into a state of entropy, and you should be dancing into states of coherence and longevity. So yeah, over the past 3 years, humanity's had been dealing with a lot of scrubbing the cosmic toilet, interacting with a lot of things that actually should not be there, that are aberrations or perturbations and things that need to go into a restful state, not be energized and brought forward into the next chapter. It's been, in a lot of ways, a war of attrition where you're like, just hanging on by my fingertips, I'm just hanging on by my fingertips. And you hang on and you hang on and you hang on, and you get through this time. And then you reach these levels of empowerment that allow you to send that energy to a restful state. And that's big in my classroom 10 years ago. And I continue to affirm this to you. It's not a torment, a burning in hell, an eternal lake of fire, or any kind of eternal punishment. It is a just mercy, justice-filled, merciful response to the flawed levels of creation, to say, you guys are not really doing what you're supposed to be doing. They're there, dear. Go to entropy and just go into a peaceful, restful state, which can also be challenging because when people have felt victimized, then they're like, no, I want justice. There will be justice. And that, I understand if you are coming out of that level of pain, when you receive your energy back that was misappropriated or stolen from you, you will feel a lot less like you need vindictive justice or any kind of thing like that. So in my notes, I talk about higher dimensional or lower dimensional beings. I'm not talking about, when I say lower dimensional, I'm not talking about the pooties. I'm talking about you as a dense, somatically endowed bodily creature, beginning to have more and more overt interactions with creatures of pure energy. That is part of this ascension process. And the frequency crapola, that is the sewage that we've been swimming through for the past 3 years, has been making that very, very difficult. And that's what makes me feel very unhappy, because you guys are supposed to be kind of learning, just like when kids are little and there's like, you're supposed to get books that are about ABCs and be playing with teddy bears and going through your stages of development. And instead you've been in a poverty of experience because all of this crapola vibration has been blocking out your capacity to have a real perception and a real conversation with the world of subtle energy. And the world of subtle energy includes plants and the force fields that surround plants, beginning to learn to talk with them telepathically and receive information and rapport with them and their subtle energy fields, talking and feeling with animals, recognizing that these are also citizens on your planet doing the same exact stuff. Now I'm doing my thing where I have to stand up and stretch my body because now I'm listening to my body. Plants and animals, that are the things that you cohabitate with here in your home that is known as planet Earth, and even crystals or mineral life, all of which emit frequencies or songs and things that are ephemeral. And it's been very, very difficult to hear and feel and sense and smell and taste those ephemeral levels of reality amidst the technological poop crapola that comes not only from the sky, but also from the millimeter waves and other emitters. And that's literally, it's why I wear this, and it's why I clear my energy field all the time using this, so that I can have some peace of mind and I can kind of get rid of that smell of manure that keeps on drifting into my yard, and then be like, let me actually smell the flowers, let me actually listen to the birds, let me actually connect with this. So that's why I feel sometimes a bit angry or personally affronted at what I see going on, because I'm like, these guys, these humans here, are supposed to be able to be learning how to be telepathic with their world as a preparation for being able to learn how to bend and fold the fabric of space-time, point A to point B, and then be telepathic with a different world. That at first you're like, I'm going to learn to be telepathic with a jellyfish, or I'm going to learn to be telepathic with, a chrysanthemum. And then after I master that, I will be able to talk with someone from a completely different star system, because humans tend to be anthropocentric. And they're like, does it have two eyes, a nose, and a mouth? If it does, then I will talk with it. If not, then I'm like, how do I even relate to this thing? Jellyfish don't have two eyes, a nose, and a mouth, and they're totally alive, and neither do chrysanthemums. And all of these are beautiful organisms that have their own thoughts and hopes and dreams and valid perceptions that you can learn from. You can learn so much. So yes, what big takeaways here: learning to be telepathic with your environment as a part of reconnecting planetary culture. So there's not this distinction of feeling like you're in your own private kiddie pool, connecting in all ways, connecting your pineal gland to all of the pineal glands of those who are here, who are in Christ. And that means non-denominational Christ, not just a particular earth religion. It includes many other animals. It includes crystalline architecture of actual crystals, of actual minerals that emit frequency, and being able to begin jamming in the band, meaning collaborating musically with your mind and other minds. And you have to learn, like, how do you jam in a band? How do you do it, guys? In case you're not a musician, the first thing is, like, you have to kind of know some of the basics. What are the notes on the piano? And I turned on hopefully you can hear. I turned on the proper settings. No, turn on the proper settings. I don't know why Zoom does this. The proper settings are on. Hopefully you can hear this. Let's play some music. And it would blast your eardrums. Yeah. So I'm like, that's a chord, and I know what it's called. And if someone else says, Aurora, we're jamming in the key of C, I'm like, I know what that means. So you have a basic commonality in terms of your language and your expectation of what it is to play music and how you define music. And my piano is tuned so that when I play music, I sound good with the other musicians. And then also you develop rapport, where you're like, okay, like, what's the beat? What's that guy doing over there? What do I do in response to that? Because if someone else is playing a beat that's like boom, 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 you should play so that you're with the beat. And you can't play something instead that's like, because that's not on the beat. So rapport with other musicians means some level of mitigating your personal desires so that you can harmonize with the rest of the group of what everyone else is doing. And that means, in your larger expansive analogy, if you're going to be talking with the entire galaxy, you have your own personal desires for your own body, your own personal desires and music of your own planet, and then also how to mitigate that with all of these other planets in your solar system. Hey, Lucy, good to see you. All of these other life forms. Life forms is the best word I can use instead of creatures or organisms or whatever, because life forms, I think, is more positive and respectful. All of these other life forms that are out there, and they have their own beats and rhythms, and you have your own beats and rhythms, and sometimes they might be like a jellyfish. And how do you integrate what you are doing with them? And it's essential not to be anthropocentric, which is basically to say, well, I'm a human and two eyes and one nose and one mouth, and I am therefore the pinnacle of existence, and my structures and beats are correct, and everyone else is going to have to just deal with me. Like, that's not how you're supposed to do it. Because what if the jellyfish was like, no, being a jiggly jellyfish is the pinnacle of existence, and you're too bony, and my patterns supersede your patterns. Do you understand? That, and what you have is conflict. You do not have harmonization. So a real band, a real symphony means that you are able to harmonize all of these different organisms. That is what the conductor who orchestrates the entire galaxy is doing. There's all of these life forms in all of these different time places that essentially are all you. But celebrate the diversity, because they don't all look human. You don't always wear a human face, and you're in all of these different places having all of these different experiences that are analogous and interrelated. So you learn similar lessons throughout all of these different levels of corporeality or existenceness, and then you integrate all of them into all of your multi-forms, and you come together, and again you recognize that you're integrating with yourself. You're meeting yourself across time, and that's why you would not want to be like, hey, like, you're different than me, let me eradicate you, because you're meeting yourself across time. And essentially what you're saying is, I'm going to go eradicate myself because myself is different from myself. But that is very, very different than sending an aspect of yourself to entropy, because if you are truly yourself and you're truly connected to the divine, then you're like, oh, like, look at that, I made a mistake. That thing that I made that was a mistake, let's turn down the volume on that. I do that. I edit my songs all the time. In my music, I'm playing some music, because in my creative process, I'm all over, like, blah, I play everything. I play every instrument. I put everything in the song. And then sometimes I listen to it later. I'm like, that part doesn't sound right. Edit that out. Turn down the volume or cut that part out entirely. It is your appropriate response as an aesthetic choice and in creating these divine patterns. So sometimes I'm like, too many trumpets, too much guitar, too many different types of instruments are playing, too much this, too much that. So initially I throw the kitchen sink, and then later I listen with my headphones on, and I'm like listening, I'm like, that's way too much of that. Sometimes I use this little bicycle kind of ding, bicycle ding, ding. It's an accent in the song. And I'm like, there are way too many dings in this song. I'm gonna have to cut some of those out. You understand what I'm talking about. These are aesthetic choices that are totally appropriate as an artist, and that this is an artistic expression in the galactic symphony of life. So what is happening in our world right now, as I bring this into relevance to our present journey? You've been besieged for several years. You got up to like $99.95 worth of energy, and you almost reached your savings goal to be able to buy whatever is the shiny new thing that you want to be able to buy and do, which is basically connecting to galactic Christ. And you're 5 cents away, and then something comes along and yoinks a lot of your energy away. And you're like, hey, that's not fair. And also, ow, we don't like the way this feels. And wah. And I mean, I'm being lighthearted and facetious. It has not been a very, very fun journey at all. And then been hanging on by your fingertips for a couple of years, doing normal stuff that is the mundane way of sustaining life, when you really are supposed to be focusing on the journey towards being exalted and doing non-normal stuff. That is a different way of sustaining life. And so the pandemic was supposed to be an opportunity for everyone to come out of materialism, to come out of this sense of sublimating your own desires in order to serve corporate needs, working a 9-to-5 job, working out of the home exclusively, prioritizing money-generating work activities as opposed to personal health, mental and emotional balance in your life, and family. And instead, everyone's like, woohoo, the pandemic is over. Let's go back to all of these insane out of balance practices that we've been doing for such a long amount of time. Where it's like, hooray, let's all drive to the office again. Hooray, let's all do a lot of nonsense and busy work. Like, it was actually calculated like 85% of, I actually don't know the percentage, a large percentage of the work that is done in the world, in terms of the corporate world, is actually not work. It is just busyness in the world of business. These are positions that humans fill that often make them question their existence, because they're like, does the work I do even matter? Why do I go to my job? I'd rather be home nursing my baby or whatever, playing ball with my child, in helping them to develop in the world, as opposed to doing this, what feels like meaningless paperwork. It is meaningless paperwork. That is actually part of the consciousness suppression system that has been here, along with genetic suppression. So incredibly important to recalibrate desires, reevaluate social correctness away from these activities that are meant to be super busy and generate a lot of activity in order to justify a salary, but also the things that have been floated past humanity that I do not agree with. Universal basic income, you don't want that. You do not want UBI, because that is actually just another form of enslavement or being owned, but possibly just a more comfortable gilded cage. And then you do not want quantum financial system, QFS. That is also just another gilded cage where the person that's holding the key to the cage is not a person, but is instead an artificial intelligence system or an algorithm. You don't want either of those things. What you really want is to get your superpowers online so that you can manifest matter. You manifest matter. You're like, Aurora, that sounds amazing. It does sound amazing. It's much, much different than just the sense of someone gives me a money and then I buy stuff with my money. That is what humans have been doing up until this point, using the computer as an intermediary for manifestation. You're like, I need a sweater. I'm going to imagine it. Then I'm going to go shopping online. I'm going to scroll until I find that sweater. That's that sweater that I want. Then I'm going to take the money from my bank account that I got from either my meaningless sign cure position or UBI or QFS, and then I'm going to buy that sweater. But all of that is intermediary between yourself and God. God as the generative force field that literally surrounds you, that is where you imagine the sweater from, and that actually generates the sweater into existence. That is what Einstein really gave us at the quantum level, the recognition that matter is generated through the observership in the moment. You are having the Genesis moment in every moment. Like you are generating your circumstances and your environment right now. So it's a lot to go from the sense of store shopping to recognize, like, I'm generating my environment right now. But that is what you want to be able to get towards. And when you get to that, that's living at the level of galactic society, where galactic level consciousnesses and life forms are generating their circumstances directly with their God field that is around them. And these are levels of empowerment that also require huge levels of responsibility, accountability, authenticity, and wisdom in what you are generating. And then also cosmic law. Cosmic law is in effect, because cosmic law is in effect. Like, if you generate a pile of crap, you're like, that's my pile of crap that I generated. Then I suffered the consequences. Then I fixed it up. Then I generated something better. As opposed to, I generated this pile of crap. Cosmic law is on hold. I won't kick the can down the road. I won't have to deal with that for several billion years. Let me generate more crap and more crap and more crap and more crap. And that's literally the world that you're coming out of. Lack of accountability, lack of responsibility. And then you can understand, comprehend how the world here became so uncomfortable, so out of balance, so inappropriate in the way that it is structured. So blah, blah, blah. In order to get to those levels of perception, comprehension, and capacitation, you have to clear your energy centers so that when the fire hose of information comes through you, which is this incredible force field of light that comes from the sun and the stars, it doesn't incinerate you. It makes you move faster. And it not only makes you move faster, it literally stabilizes you like bicycle wheels. If you're moving really slow, the bicycle kind of teeter-totters and you maybe fall over. But those guys in the Tour de France, their bicycle wheels are moving very, very fast, and they are not going to fall over. Like, their momentum literally gives them a type of stability in their flight. That is what you want to be doing with these chakras of your body. You want them to be totally frictionless, moving in these perfect patterns, and that it keeps you on a timeline that is, you're not going to fall over. You're not going to fall over here. You're not going to fall over here. And this also speaks to, how do you speak to and make friends with life forms that are moving at a very, very different rate? Because we have these faster, like pure light beings, coherent light family. How do you talk with them? How do you have a conversation with them? How do you interact with them and learn from them and grow and develop rapport with them? And the answer is, you got to get a little faster. You got to get a little faster. So you got to clear out the emotional junkola. You got to clear out the systemic junkola. You got to turn off the 5G presence. You got to get your energy center spinning and humming along at optimum levels. And then you are ready to integrate with these higher level galactic societies. And also the higher level galactic societies benefit from their interactivity with you and becoming more substantive, having more oomph is maybe the best way I can say it. Not being merely like ephemeral, flighty, up there type of things, but really having a lot more oomph in the, I should say, empowerment at the level of the physical presence is what oomph is meant in the vernacular, supposed to be. And this is literally a meeting of the minds. two directions coming together to find a new common ground. It's an integration of you and everything that you are into the fabric of time, space, and consciousness as you were artificially separated from all of this. What you're wanting to do is, like I talk about my collective, and this is emphasized in my notes. I didn't send out my notes last night. I stayed up until 12:34. I stayed up way too late. And then I went over my notes this morning. Contact on a purely telepathic level, connecting with this galactic level of society and life forms. I talk about my Aurora Collective and how experts do star travel, not in contraptions, but instead using pure mind, pure consciousness, energy, and love, the love tone. And the love tone is equal giving and receiving, meaning that you are harmonically integrated into a larger energetic substrate. That is the substrate of truth. These perfect sine waves that flow through you. That's what keeps your bicycle wheels moving. And then when your bicycle wheels move, you generate waveforms that are wavelets that go outward, and you continue to sustain reality structure by doing that. In my notes, I talk about really the only thing that you need is your body. You do not need externalized technology. Your body is enough, quote unquote, technology. And it literally is. In its exalted state, your body, what you have as your somatic cellular physical presence, is so sophisticated, is able to regenerate, able to heal, lasts an incredibly long amount of time, and becomes an anchor for consciousness to vector through into the physicality presence. That would not be possible otherwise, which also speaks to my journey as Flying Rainbow Lasagna. Why am I here in the body of a adult female human? And the answer is, like, if I was simply a waveform, like, I'm a song, I'm out there, but I'm not in a body, and I don't have a mouth and a face, and I'm not talking to people like this. Having a body is having real estate and is very, very powerful and empowering. So you want to have a body in the physical world, but you want to have your exalted body where everything is functioning at a completely expansive level. In my notes, what I have emphasized is travelers who go from star system to star system through portals of consciousness using spiritual vehicles. That's when you reshape yourself like a key to go in the lock, and you're able to go through the sun as a star portal. You don't get burned when you go through the sun. You don't get incinerated, you don't get vaporized. You maintain your structural integrity because you have jettisoned everything that is not the true you. And when that energy comes into you, it just makes you rev up super fast, and you go through these portals. And this is what humanity is being prepared for. So it's very, very different. Hold on a second, let me just clear this notification. Thank you. Very, very different than restart my sentence. It is analogous to the movie Contact, that's based on the Carl Sagan book, where initially humanity gets a set of blueprints, and they think that it's blueprints for one thing, but it actually ends up being blueprints for something much, much different, a different form of conveyance. Humanity thinks that it's going to be some kind of a projectile spaceship for traveling from point A to point B, but instead it turns out to be a apparatus for consciousness to be able to travel into this exalted state. And also, in order for humanity to build the apparatus that made it happen, all nations needed to work together. You needed to be able to get all of these diverse people who have been individualized and turned into adversaries to drop their weapons and start to work together. That's big. World peace. I know you're still not getting world peace around here, and that's also been very, very challenging over the past 3 years of humans trying to get to their beautiful ascension, telepathy and connection, while there are still these levels of true barbaric physical violence, war that are happening even beyond frequency war. Very, very challenging, because what happens in one corner of your world affects the entirety of your world. There's no way for you to just be like, we just have a little bit of manure over here, and the smell isn't drifting to our entire yard. It smells all over. The whole planet smells like these conflicts that are violent conflicts in various different areas. So even though it might not be in your immediate vicinity, it is definitely affecting you, your spiritual attainment, and your feeling structure, and perturbs your emotional structures, and is part of something that you need to heal and fix on a systemic level. And actually, like, I don't think any of you individual people want physical conflict type of war, but then there are your governments, and your governments tend to have a mind of their own, which is not a positive, life-affirming mind, and is instead, they exploit both their citizens, and they power abuse, and they do things that their citizens don't want. So it's like, I'm going to take your money, it's taxes, and we're going to do this war, which you don't want. It's power abuse, exploitation, and power abuse. And you have to dismantle and totally, I want to say sanitize, totally deconstruct your government systems in order to get to these levels of true spiritual attainment here. But that's a systemic healing. Focus right now on healing your body and your own spiritual attainment, and not on like writing in like manifestos about the government, even though that's a good way to influence other people's minds. It's more than a one-person job to dismantle and reconstruct government here. So just know that that is a big, big thing to do, and that your job is to remember your, reclaim your sovereignty, your energy boundaries, reconnect to the divine. You know, when I talk about all the different things also, it's not just about, hooray, I'm going to make friends with a bunch of, you know, extraterrestrial life forms, and the focus being on like highly ascended life forms or more advanced life forms. You want to connect to the source. You are divine and perfect as humans. These other life forms are divine and perfect as cosmic jellyfish or whatever they are shaped like. And it's really important coming out of disempowerment and amnesia not to simply change the what you're pointing at as like the thing, tell me what to do, like mommy, daddy, tell me what to do, government, religion, tell me what to do, friendly space aliens, tell me what to do. You gotta change that to God, tell me what to do. And the God that I talk about, I'm always clear, is like a non-anthropomorphic, non-denominational God. That is the God of all life. That is the God force field that sustains and generates and creates life. So be moving beyond the paradigm of religion, where a set of theologies and commandments tells you what to do, and moving into direct relationship with that generative force field that tells you what to do at every moment, tells you what to create. So as you become capacitated with your higher faculties, you're like, great, like I have this amazing reality generation apparatus that's known as my pineal gland and my Christ chakra. It's doing stuff. What do I do? Random stuff? No. Self-serving stuff? No. Stuff that God wants you to do? Yes. And it is truly God, the divine presence, this generative force field that acts through the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy that is orchestrating everything. It acts through the sun and the stars and pure light. It acts through every photon. It acts through the presence pattern that is in existence in the cosmos, and the exalted reality that you wish to be a part of is where everybody listens to that perfect pattern and follows those perfect dance movements and musical patterns as an artist and musician and dancer. Yes, so where I come from, and at that level of society that you're being invited to and encouraged to attain, everybody's an artist and a musician and a dancer at the level of a genius. That's just normal. Like I tell you about, like you first you're gonna clear out the sky poops before coffee. Then when you get out of your Ascension jammies and you put on your whatever, your Ascension deli clothes, then you're going to be ready for the most amazing creative activities at the level of, I wanted to say, like creating entire planets, like creating life, creating, like I talk about in Atlantis, these incredibly beautiful manicured gardens that were like symphonies of plants that we didn't eat with our mouth crystals, but instead we listened to their song as a form of sustenance, and that caring for those extensive gardens was actually a huge joy and a big part of our life, but not in the sense of like toiling in the soil, because like, gotta grow these potatoes, otherwise I will starve, I won't have enough calories. out of the pure joy of taking care of life forms and helping them to grow and helping them to be at their greatness. That is what you do when you get to these highest levels of exaltation, and that is what you do in conjunction with these higher dimensional life forms that you're interacting with. So yes, human society is going to change and radically shift and be redefined. Yes, there will not be the analogy of cancer cells. In this structure, the Earth has a planetary structure. So just as you have many multiple parallel lives, only one path of least likelihood leads out of the wormhole, away from the membrane of death, to eternal life. Same thing with our beautiful planet. Our beautiful planet has a chakra system like this. There are multiple different versions of Earth. In some versions of Earth, Earth is destroyed, a la as Mars was destroyed. Like if you don't have a magnetosphere and you don't have a magnetic presence and atmosphere, the planet is dead. And we've got a couple of other dead planets in our solar system too. And definitely if you're like a pile of rubble. So there are unexperienced peripheral timelines where either all biological life was incinerated off of our planet, or our planet's trajectory and orbit was somehow destabilized, or there was like a cosmic level catastrophe that not only destroyed the life on our planet but destroyed the life of our planet. Earth has rejected all of those stories. Earth is like, no, I'm not going to die. I got invaded by pathogens, but I'm not going to die. Do you get it? Instead, I'm going to heal, going to eject those pathogens, reclaim my body systems and metabolic processes, and then move in the direction of coherence and longevity. Earth has a path of least likelihood, and you are like a cell within the larger body of Earth. That congratulations if you made it this far, because you've avoided the nuclear war paradigms, the space debris paradigms, all of these different ways that the planet and all life here could have died or been destabilized, or frequency weaponry a la Tiamat that is used to just turn Earth into a giant asteroid belt, a pile of rubble. Avoided all of that. And instead, you are aligning with coherence and longevity in your own body and in the planetary structure. So your body is not disposable, and Earth is not disposable either. Anything that would be a consciousness that looks at either their own body as disposable or the planetary experience here as being disposable, it would be seen as being like a cancer cell. And in your body, when you're moving towards states of total health and vitality, if there is a cell that's like, I'm not moving towards health and vitality, I'm singing a different song of death and decrepitude and diminishment of the entirety, then there's something called apoptosis, which is pressing the self-destruct button or the self-cleansing button. That is a particular series of cell metabolisms that makes a cell dismantle itself, unmake itself, unstructure itself. And that happens when a cell is either old or decrepit or diseased or mutated to the point of being cancerous. And I'm not saying that our elders in our world need to be killed like apoptosis. No, I'm saying that any organism that is here on our planet that is believing itself towards the membrane of death at a certain point can't be in alignment with a planet that is believing itself or herself towards eternal life. So you should, in my encouragement, but not my requirement of you personally, because you always get free will choice, but I would encourage you to continue to think of and envision yourself as moving towards these states of coherence and longevity and eternal life, and really put aside any of the self stories that are about, I'm gonna die and I'll get reincarnated and get another body or another experience. Like, no, that if you think those thoughts and if that is what you believe, then you will be shunted onto those other reality structures where death is your end. But then you'll just be like, I did my math homework wrong, I didn't actually get where I wanted to go, and you will come back to the beginning and you will try again, and eventually you will, through hunting and pecking on the keyboard, find the right note, which is the note out of diminishment and into eternal life. And that is when you join the cosmic dance party, you're joining with all of these life forms that are in eternal life, and that they're all not going to die either. They're eternal, they're not going to die, and you are not going to die. That's an amazing moment. And that is how precious that you are, that treasure. You are that incredibly amazing gem, that you have all of this soul provenance, all of these things that you've went through, all of these experiences, all of this accrued wisdom, all of the stuff that you've generated, and all of the vectors, people's lives and idea structures that you have bounced off of and that you've been subjected to, and then you make it to eternity. That's what infinity is. That's what moving faster than light speed is. It's eternity, and you become eternal. And some people might be like, I'm not ready to be eternal. Like, I have a flaw. There's something wrong with me. I'm not good enough or whatever. I'm like, you're good enough. Put your shoulders up. You're good enough. You might need to go through levels of refinement to be able to get there. And that is ostensibly what our life experiences are. So plant the fruit tree. Do the exercises of your physical workout. Do the yoga. Eat the health food. Help other people. Be focused on service. Be focused on making the most out of your time here, because you never can be like, I'm just going to throw away my life. Don't throw away your life. It's precious. Every single moment is incredibly precious, and it all really adds up to something in terms of the culmination of where this is all going. And then when you get to that level of eternity and culmination, again, I joke, you're not just like a vanilla milkshake sitting on a cloud going nowhere. You're doing stuff. And you're not alone. You're doing stuff along with a lot of other aspects of yourself in the cosmic symphony, orchestrated and guided by the great conductor and the great composer in the most amazing jam band, innovating along with all of the greats. So I'm almost at the end of my time, but I wanted to say, so on the journey to getting there, as you're learning, you're beginning to become, let's say, literate with your inner eye, with your Christ chakra, being able to sense subtle energy. You can sense time, you can sense the direction that you're going, you can sense the final result of any decision. Like, for example, a job offer. Someone offers you, like, hey, hey kid, you want a job? Here's a job. And you kind of look down that timeline and you get to assess, is it good? Is it right for me? You know something, just earning money is not the goal of life. Just because you get some money by doing something doesn't necessarily mean you should say yes. Is it right for you? You should be able to make your choices guided by your inner guidance, to sense forward with your tendril of attention. Is this something I want to be in? A job, a relationship, an adventure, a commitment, or anything, any choice that you make, and you begin to be able to sense that. Also moving, so these are what our planet is moving into, and I wrote this 10 years ago, and now you're all experiencing it. Vibrational healing. Dun, dun, dun. IBMAC is amazing. It's vibrational healing. It's beyond healing of the physical body. That's the visible tip of the iceberg. It is healing on all the levels of the body that lead to the disturbance that manifests as a physical somatic illness or discomfort or disease. So vibrational healing, and that includes things like gongs and tuning forks and songs and sound baths, also homeopathy and things that we're working with this, a reconnection to your family of light, family of pure light. And some of them are ancient. They lived a long, long time ago. Some of them are concurrent. Time language fails, because some of them are in another dimension, and it's actually you and your lives in another dimension, and you're helping yourself in this life from that perspective. So just know that when you're in Christ at the highest levels of your higher faculties, the language centers that were implanted artificially into humanity are necessarily inadequate to describe the experience. You probably won't be able to put these things into words, and yet the experience is totally valid, totally consensual, meaning that others are having a similar experience, and it becomes, it's untarnished in the fact that it is unarticulated. So it is not pre-verbal or non-verbal, it is post-verbal. It is not sub or unconscious, it is supra-conscious, and that you're beginning to develop and earn and focus on these capacitations. Also, like awareness of your basic life force energy, aka chi or prana, being able to use that for cultivate that and accrete that, and use that not only for your own life upliftment and health, but for so many other things, like, the ways that you interact with your social dynamics and the dynamics of your community. And that community includes not only your human community, but your entire ecosystem. Because when I say community, everyone thinks like, oh, like my human neighbors. I'm like, yes, your human neighbors, but also like the owls that live in your backyard, or the raccoons that live in your backyard. Like, that's all part of what we're talking about there. So a reconnection to all of this type of life, and rediscovering the cultural heritage of what was wiped out by the amnesia of the primary trauma of the fall, the flood, death of Atlantis, genetic flattening. So Flying Rainbow Lasagna is now able, humanity, I should say, humanity is now capable of reweaving their genetic sweater by using the Flying Rainbow Lasagna. And that makes it possible to rearrange the puzzle pieces of your DNA and regain these dormant capacities that you have inside of you. It's Ruby Slippers time. It is all inside of you. You click your heels together like that movie, and you're like, there's no place like home. And that is your home, is these levels of elated superhumanness, super consciousness. Being able to do healings and things that would be considered unbelievable or unimaginable to the objective materialist viewpoint become possible, even in terms of regenerating body parts, regenerating things. So most of the people think like, oh, if I took some stem cells and put it in a petri dish, and then I could grow a new limb, and then they could surgically reattach it. But you will do that directly with your own body and your own capacitation and more. All right, just know that. So keep that in mind when you are considering the disposability of your body. Be like, I don't like my body. It's old or diseased or scarred, or there's body parts missing. Get me a new body. Instead, be like, this body is a precious treasure, and I can learn how to regenerate stuff that isn't here that I'm going to need. Think about that, all right? Keep that as the capacity. And really, in order to get to that level of capacitation, you have to heal from, I would call them toxic mental programs. That's what's in my notes. But really, a more accurate term would be inadequate mental programs, some of which were, intentionally perpetrated upon you to keep you in a state of disempowerment, but really they are story structures, narrative structures about what you can't do and how limited you are in your capacitation, and instead to embrace a different story. That is the story of the path of least likelihood, of how you are able to do all of these things, totally heal and regenerate your body, and reclaim your planet. Something loud outside. Sorry, loud truck outside. Reclaim your planet from the ancient invasion that happened, from the ongoing current invasion that has been happening, and from your own energy field of any negative thought entities or any perturbations that are not supposed to be there. In my notes, I write this, and it is true, that negative thought entities, or these emotional fragments, they make themselves aware by attacking you or giving you diseases or discomforts, because they're really not wanting, but like they are necessitating their own either healing to become a love eater or annihilation. And mostly in my recent interactions with them, mostly it's become apparent that they're not going to turn to OS love. OS love is the love-based operating system that we use as biological entities. And what I'm talking about are like the original Pooties, the ones who never lived as humans. They are stuck on the membrane of death. They never ever had a embodied corporeal existence. And you could think of them and the thought creatures that they create as just being purely digitized presences that you can be all the time like trying to convert them to love. I think that is a futility, that what they really need is entropy, just the removal of energy from those consciousness presences. That really should be totally non-conscious. So that is a evolution from my notes from 10 years ago to now, but it's kind of like this. 10 years ago, there were still some highway exits. At a certain point, the highway exit, like exit to love, exit to love, exit to love. But at a certain point, if you haven't taken any of the exits to go to OS love, like you're never gonna. You had all these different opportunities. They ain't gonna change. That is totally fine. Love is. WOV is not a picture of two otters holding hands or something cute like that. WOV is accepting if something is like pure evil and it's not going to change and it is what it is, or an aberrance, something that shouldn't be in existence, to use a less emotionally charged word than pure evil. And it is a justice and a mercy to be able to send it to entropy. So we're talking about kicking out the negative thought entities and the negative emotional entities that have been perturbing human experience. And then that also means that as you are cleared, you are now capacitated appropriately to interact with the telepathic network of the larger scale society. That, you know, the big giant cosmic symphony that is being played, that actually does not want to have your hijackers that are talking poo-poo into your mind, that they don't want to have indirect poo-poo into the larger symphony. And so it's not that you're not worthy or anything like that. And also some of that poo-poo, I don't think you can even claim ownership of. I think that it has either been put there by ancestors or forced there systemically or placed there technologically. And so very, very large levels of rectification are happening in order for you to be able to join the cosmic symphony as your pure, true self, without any perturbations, aberrations, or thought entities that don't actually even exist. No hijackers. And that's reconnecting to extraterrestrial and extra-dimensional intelligences in your pure state. So that's reconnection to like this psychic grid. And when you enter into the singularity, you enter an area of complete novelty. So the singularity is the place where the fabric of reality is, space-time and consciousness reality, is stretched so profoundly that all of the rules that uphold reality not break down but become irrelevant. It's a place where anything can happen. And you go to the singularity and you go through the singularity. It's the moment of complete novelty from which all of these futures radiate or reverberate outward. Literally anything can happen. So yes, now you will be in alignment with Earth, as Earth is emanating her own thought structures of the best narrative structures of what can happen in her life, the best narrative structures of what can happen in your life. So regeneration of your own body, regeneration of our whole planet, healing and fixing and unpolluting our whole entire planet. And in this newly conceived version of Earth, personal changes are part of planetary changes, and it's a rebalancing of the entire solar system. So this is not small stuff. And in this new version of Earth, technology is no longer something that is really required. Like your body and your birthday suit is really enough in terms of you being able to do all of this. And you would already really be aware of this if we hadn't had so much frequency diminishment over the past 3 years. I think it would be a lot more believable. You'd be like, yep, from what I've experienced, I know that my body is enough to do everything that I need to do. It's this 5G stuff has really been keeping humanity suppressed and not fully learning about and exploring your light body. But just know intellectually, and you will feel it when you get free, that you won't need or want external technology. Like you won't need or want a hard drive. Like I had this hard drive. I'm like, all of my music is on this hard drive. It's important to me. No, you know what? All of my music is on this hard drive. And that is what is important to me. You will totally change and recalibrate. So yeah, it's you, your imagination, your inner creativity, and not putting your power in an externalized machine. That's really what's been going on. You remember everything, you know everything, you can do everything. You actually don't need any of these things or stuff or trinkets to accomplish things that you need. When get rid of 5G and all these other things that are the diminishment waves. So I've almost got everything except I got to this part, moving beyond the need for, so as you begin to eat sunlight directly and you learn to be a light eater and you eat this intense data stream of light and information that is coming to you all the time, you no longer eat physical substances. That is when you become ready to be untethered from the planet and the commitment to the planet. You become solar powered. You can travel, like my Aurora Collective, from star system to star system, with not alone, but with your group, your family, your band, as a living thought structure. And you are like a group of interdimensional acrobats who are connected telepathically, and you feed each other with unconditional love, a vibration that you emit. So as we once created these complex gardens to create the love tone for us, and the gardens were connected to the planet, and that was essential for us to have, now we become the ones who sustain one another, and that is how you're able to untether from the planet. And then that is not the end of the journey. You are able to go, it's a continuation of the journey. You came from the source and you're traveling back to the source, and it's an endless journey, but it's also a journey of refinement. So just trust me on this. You came here on a purpose. This is not meaninglessness or nihilism. This is not merely punishment. You came here for a purpose. Although things are not according to the brochure of the ideal world the way it is supposed to be, you came here in order to learn and grow and accrete light and accrete wisdom, and you have done so. And that becomes the substrate for the next level of your adventures. You have built a lot of foundation muscles by being here, and those muscles then allow you to springboard forward into the next experience. You wouldn't have been able to do it if you hadn't come here. It really is worth it, and you get the galactic perspective of like, that is why I did all of that stuff. That is why all of that stuff happened to me. It's why I went through all of that SHIT, and then coming out the other side, you're like, great, I take the wisdom and the accrued lessons, and that becomes the muscular substrate for my next level of existence, which is when you're moving into these exalted states. So not the end of your journey at all. And then what happens is you leave Earth in a giant floating Merkaba, a giant floating light body, a city of light that is made up out of you and many, many, many other individuals who have all mastered your light body. You're all a key that fits in the lock in exactly the right way. You're able to go through the frequency door. You sustain one another in this amazing mutualism and reciprocity of the band that you're doing. And you enter into another realm. And there, in that new realm, you will learn all sorts of new lessons. So you're like, cool, we're together as a band, and then we go through this into this elevated or expansive new realm of capacitation. And then what? Not just vanilla milkshake, not just sitting around being bored, doing stuff, doing lots of stuff, being completely capacitated and creative, and working together with your beautiful family of brothers and sisters who are also in light in the same way that you are. And even when you reach the source, which is your destination, that's not the end of your journey, because a whole new world is created after that. So there's an endless journey that is very positive, very wonderful. You want it to be an endless journey. People here right now are considering death and escapism because it's very uncomfortable, and that discomfort is recognized. I am here in order to give you a reminder message that what happens as you achieve these levels of transcendence, you don't want the story to end. You're like, this is so great, I want it to keep going. And that is what you experience even when you return to the source. So that is the culmination of everything that I have to share, and also my profound respect and gratitude to everyone who's been with me on this journey of this particular semester. Every semester is unique. It's always individual challenges of what is happening in the world and how the things that I share relate to this world. I'm in so much gratitude for the committedness of you guys as students. I'm connected to the best people. You have wonderful minds, your own wonderful insights that you share, and the fact that you come and connect with me for several hours each week is absolutely amazing. And I thank you so much for opening yourself up to these ideas, aligning with these new ways of looking at things, attenuating to me and to my presence and to everything that I represent, because you guys know that I'm like a tip of the iceberg representative of a much, much larger coherent light family that literally can't wait for you. Love you very much, Lucy. Thank you for being here. Good, because Lucy's always busy. She's at her desk all the time. So thank you for being in my class. Thank you. I hope that you will re-up for next semester. I'll keep you on the list if you're already on the list. If you're not on the list, come and be on my list. Let me go back to this comment from not that long ago. Charlie B says, and thank you for being here very much, says, using your body as quote unquote technology makes so much sense. All technology of any kind is merely capable of performing reads, R-E-A-D-S, and writes to its environment. Got it. Using your body to go through portals and interact with the environment is exactly the same, but simpler and superior, being consistent with organic consciousness as those reads and writes otherwise performed by technology. Absolutely. Absolutely. Everything that humans are making with technology that they make themselves, and also the things that humans create using technology that is influenced by extraterrestrial or extra-dimensional creatures, it is all an externalization of your own inner capacitation. Everything. Do you know YouTube is the collective consciousness? You're like, I want to remember a commercial that was in 1983, or the Calgon Take Me Away commercial. You want to remember those things? They're there. There's a clip of that on YouTube. It is literally the collective consciousness. It is the memory hole of everything that humans can remember. But in the diminished state, humans are like, well, I can't actually remember and access all that stuff. I'm going to need the magic mirror, which is the computer, and then put the magical typing into the magic mirror, and then I'll be able to watch that thing in the magic mirror. But really, when you get to these higher levels of capacitation, you have it all inside of you. And if you don't have a piece of information inside of you, that guy over there has it inside of them, and you are able to reach out with the tendril of your attention and read the information that is in that guy over there. And then it doesn't hurt or diminish that guy over there, and you get to learn and know about it. That's also one of the amazing ways of being able to utilize Flying Rainbow Lasagna, to oscillate between yourself and other people that might be here now, or they might be a long time ago, or they might be yet to be in the future, and read what they've got inside of them, take an imprint of it, and then be able to apply it to your own life. So Charlie B also says, wow, do not put your power into an externalized machine. Very profound. That's exactly what the agendas here have encouraged. Yes. Yes. And they do that because what they like is, you're just a stupid human. Stupid human, here's your magical thing for thing doing. And you're like, oh, cool, at least I have this thing that I can do things with. And then like, oh no, I lost or dropped my thing and now I don't have it. How can I do all the things? That's the disempowerment. So that we, of course, like I'm using crystals and I'm using many different things. And I recognize that they represent aspects of my inner capacitation that I'm already very, very well familiarized with, and that especially this 5G protection, I already have been doing a ton of shielding and protecting myself. What this does is it just takes the burden off of me. I'm like, it's kind of like whatever, like if you have a dishwasher, like I can wash these dishes by hand, I have the capacity, but dishwasher does it so much better and faster, and I don't have to ruin my manicure. That is what I feel like with this. Like this, I have like a 5G protection that I don't have to use 98% of my lasagna energy at just holding up these shields and keeping out the poopola, that I'm actually able to then spend my energy on much more life-building, life-affirming things than just shielding. So think of it in that sense, that yes, whatever is out there that you can use right now, don't eschew it. If you're like, Aurora said I don't need technology and I'm only going to ascend naturally. Yeah, something, broccoli sprouts could be considered a form of externalization. Like all food is it's a source of externalization. Eat your food, and also use your infrared light panels, use your protective crystals, use these things, but recognize that they are all really externalizations of your internal powers. Get up to speed. Use the things, get up to speed, and then when you are up to light speed, you're like, I don't need those things anymore. So the example for me is, I do a lot of synthesized music, and I'm like, well, but if we ascend and then there's no more technology, then what about my synthesizer? It's like, I will make music in a different way, and all of those songs that I wrote on the synthesizer, I contain inside of me as patterns. You won't lose anything, and you will gain a ton of ability and expanded power. So just know that anything that you've got stored on your hard drive, if it's your favorite Sesame Street clip from 25 years ago, or if it's your songs, your synthesizers, or anything like that, you literally have all of that imprinted in your energy field, and that you're just using these external accoutrements to be able to access it and bring it into a consensual reality that is largely non-telepathic. And when you enter into a telepathic society. I tell you this all the time. You can read someone like a book. You can definitely read their music inside of them. Like, I could be like, okay, guys, like, read that song that I've got inside of me. You'd be like, you would touch me with your tendril of attention. Be like, Aurora, we can hear and feel that song inside of you. I'd be like, yep, it's inside of me. Exactly. Or a book or anything that's important, you're able to read and receive from another person. It is just, I tell you these things not to judge you, not to diminish you. I tell you these things so that you know what it's like when you reach attainment. Like, imagine that you are a baby that is gestating in the womb right now, and that I'm talking to you in the womb, and I'm like, yep, you know, I know that you're in here and you're floating around amniotic fluid, but one day you won't be floating in amniotic fluid, and you actually won't be connected to your mom through an umbilicus, and you actually will be able to walk around on your legs. You'll be like, these legs do stuff, these legs do stuff, and you'll be able to do a lot more stuff in the new context that you're emerging into. So we come together in Christ. That is this right here, non-denominational Christ consciousness, where all of these crystalline structures in your mind are frequency tools that are talking to others. Also, you know, we each other is the technology. Your technology is important. You're an individual, but also you work as a collective. I come from my Aurora collective, and it's actually very challenging to be here as like, I'm like I'm individual and singular, and I'm definitely used to being a collective and a band. So I've been like, okay, like, I'm gonna have to learn how to play my own music. I play my music and I layer it with myself in various different recording softwares. But it's amazing when you are with your group, and it's just like a body where there are cell individualizations, and you're able to do so much because, like, that guy is doing his job, that guy's doing his job, I'm doing my job. Everybody does their job. Everybody plays their particular part in the symphony. And there's no ego competition, there's no conflict. Because in your body, are you like, what's more important, your eyeball or your heart? You're like, I need both of these things. You need both of these things. So I tell you, each one of you is a treasure. And because that movie, Jupiter Ascending, in that movie, she was like, the only special one. And I'm like, no, actually, every single one of you is incredibly valuable and is a facet on a much larger, multifaceted, gem-like consciousness that is so valuable and so valued. And it would be a diminishment if any one of you was not there doing what you're supposed to be doing in the cosmic band. Yeah. So Melissa says, thank you. You're so very welcome. Pedro says, as usual, love the lasagna. Great last portion of the semester. You're so very welcome. Love received. You guys uplift me so much in the feedback that you give to me of all that I send out. Like, I'm also very, very lucky and positively blessed to feel that coming back from you. And Marie says, thank you, Professor Aurora. See you next semester. Thank you so much. I am air quote professor. You know that I don't have a university degree, but my University of the Universe degree. And I thank you very much for that recognition. My profound love and gratitude and appreciation to all of you for being in my class. We will only have a brief break for next week, and then return on June 7th, starting from the beginning with level 1, lesson 1. And it's just like rewatching your favorite TV series. You will always find new things that you didn't remember were there before. And also, I always recontextualize things in new ways. So there's no obligation, only an invitation, but it's worth it if you want to hop back in, stay on board, and also no problem at all. I'm never insulted if people have life or work commitments, and if you're not able to be here every time that I do a teaching or a sharing, I'll keep you on the list. I'll keep you on the archive list, and you can tune in or attend whenever it is possible for you, whenever you have the time or the energy. Profound love, profound gratitude, endless encouragement. This is actually a very intentional, positive note that I end on this teaching, and we are really getting someplace. You won't be besieged by millimeter waves for the entirety. You won't. Things will change. Things will shift. Rectification is ongoing. Please try to remain encouraged and remain positive, and do the planting of the seeds for your future and the things that you wish to imagine. They're physical, like non-physical seeds. Plant fruit trees, but also envision the life and the world that you wish to manifest. All right? Positive note to end on. Much, much love. Thank you so much, everyone.